name is Alex Camardelle,
And what instrument do you play?
and I am an oboe player, not to be confused with the clarinet. And I can't believe I have to say this, but also not to be confused with a bassoon. but I hear it often. So,
Unbelievable. Where are you from, Alex?
so I am originally from Mobile, Alabama, which is in the Gulf Coast. Grew up there, born and raised. But I've had the joy and pleasure to kind of live all over the Southeast. I've lived in Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, of course, and I've been in Georgia for about 8 years.
8 years. Okay. Did you go to college in Georgia?
I did not. So I did my studies I started in Mississippi. I went to the University of Southern Mississippi for a year. I was actually a music major, studying oboe in music education. But I transferred after my first year to Alabama, went back in state, and finished up my undergraduate studies at the University of Alabama.
Gotcha. You're a really exemplary oboe player. I love your tone and I love your sound. I mean, it really is a joy having you with us. And,
Well, it's been I'm happy to hear that. I'm glad that it's something stuck, because I had taken a pretty significant break, I think, from playing and practicing a few years. So I guess part of it is kind of like riding a bike, some things you don't forget. But I was really eager to, start playing again and kind of building my chops back up so that I can get back to kind of the college era tone that I had, which was I can guarantee much better.
well, I'm looking forward to it. uh, yeah, it's lovely. How did you hear about the Atlanta Musicians Orchestra?
Yeah, so I did a simple web search for ensembles that were community based, in particular looking for something that allowed balance with folks who do work full time or have outside obligations, promoting like the voices of some of the players like we're doing now in this interview and have been doing is really phenomenal. And I think that could go a long way. Of course, you also would need your players and all of the fans of the group to also promote and share the good word too. So I think this is probably going to help expand our reach. I mean, I think it's going to be organic. You're just trying to get people to join something that is purely about joy, like purely about doing something that you love. I wanted something that truly brings me joy, and there's nothing in the world that makes me happier and joyful compared to playing music.
What kind of work do you do? I've been reading a little bit about what you're doing with policy study and so on.
I do public policy research and analysis, and a little bit of lobbying as well in my day job. I work for a nonpartisan, what people would call a think tank, that simply advises policymakers on decisions that they're making that impacts 10 million plus people in the state of Georgia. I get a lot of joy out of doing it. I'm very passionate about things like economic security and making sure people have enough of a safety net to support them, especially in times like what we're experiencing now, where a lot of our friends and family are being laid off of work and losing income. I'm very passionate about making sure folks are protected and have access to things like food and a nest egg to protect them and their families during this time. So we believe that everybody should be able to keep food on the table, or whether or not every child should have access to a decent education, and whether or not we should cut music programs from schools and things like that. Not shy and kind of tie it to like my musical like training, because again, I started out as a music education major and really wanted, and I continued to make music all the way throughout college. Even though I didn't graduate with that degree, I continued in studio and taking lessons, and and everything. And meanwhile, I was in political science and I was advocating as a student and doing all these wonderful things. And I feel like the discipline and the commitment that I learned in my musical training is kind of what keeps me optimistic and hopeful and committed to kind of larger causes as well.
You know, having two things which they're passionate about, which they can then fulfill in their lives. It's really great. What what kind of music do you like best?
So, non-AMO related, my favorite music in general is old school rhythm and blues, soul and jazz. My father is a blues guitar player. He can riff all day on a guitar. He is he has perfected the Prince guitar solos, and I just love listening to him. So I kind of grew up a huge fan of that. But in general, in terms of like the music that I play with AMO and have really been trained in, I really love, you know, old romance pieces, long form pieces with big orchestra. Um, my what my top, you know, composer and really what drew me to the oboe is probably no surprise, it's Tchaikovsky. I had the pleasure of viewing and listening to Swan Lake as a child. And as soon as I heard it, I think in my middle school years, I said, that's what I need to play. Like I have to play it. So Tchaikovsky was a huge influence on my life. I love Symphony Number 4, as well as obviously the Swan Lake Ballet. Um, I also love film scores. I always tell myself that if I get the opportunity, that I would love to be in an orchestra where I can perform film scores, um, even just on a volunteer basis. Because, side note, I'm a huge John Williams fan, a huge Star Wars fan, and I think what draws me to all of those films, quite honestly, and keeps me interested in them is the score. It's the music.
Soundtrack. We have, in my opinion, a really diverse mix of ages and abilities and all interests. I mean, what are your thoughts on that, or how we can even make that more so?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the diversity in talent and in, you know, ages and professions, like all of those are things that drew me to AMO and have kept me around. Um, you know, I really enjoy um, everybody's demeanor in rehearsals and in, you know, and otherwise. Everybody's been very kind and welcoming to me, even as a newer player in the group. I'm very nervous, you know, sometimes playing around new people, and I was nervous at first coming into AMO because it had been a while. And you may remember there was a time where I think I had to pitch in for a Principal Rita who was out, and I was like, wow, I'm here I am again in the hot seat. But it was well received, and I felt very comforted by the ensemble and everybody's, you know, support in that. So I really do enjoy kind of the wide ranging perspectives and the ages. And when I see other people who are certainly more seasoned than I am, who are doing something that they love, that makes me happy. Like just being around that really just makes me happy. I mean, because it's a reminder that music is kind of like the one equalizer
Right.
that I think exists in the world. Um, so in just continue, you know, inviting all types of individuals to participate in something that's truly joyful, and it draws on folks in, you know, talents, whatever end of the spectrum they may fall on. I feel like that's probably the best way to keep it really rich.
I agree with you, and that's what makes it fun too. I mean, as the music director and conductor, I look out at you all, all the time,
Yeah.
and it's just wonderful to see the different reactions and the different expressions, and sometimes joy, sometimes pain. You know,
Yeah.
it's, it's lovely. It's just really lovely.
Yeah.
Alex, what sound or noise do you love?
Okay. um, the oboe. I'm gonna take the easy way out.
That's fair enough. I'm glad you love it.
Yeah. Actually, let me correct that. I definitely love the sound of the oboe, but I love water. I actually, like I mentioned, I grew up on the Gulf Coast. Um, I'm landlocked here in Atlanta, and it's been a challenge. But I absolutely just love water. I'm a fisher. Grew up as a fisherman, fisher boy, I guess you could say, for the bulk of my childhood. So spent many years and days and nights out fishing, and just love the calm nights with the water just moving under the dock or splashing up against the rocks or something wherever we were. Um, I miss that a lot. I really do.
Yeah, it's a special sort of thing. I've grown up on and around the water also. And I also fish, and it's there's a certain peace and tranquility. You know.
Mm-hmm.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Ooh. Um, this is gonna sound weird. Because I'm also a saxophone player, so I've been in jazz bands, jazz ensembles, um, but I hate snapping. Like, I just that sound to me. I don't know if I've been traumatized in my life, or which I don't know how that could even apply. It's just something about it, just constant snapping. It gets me.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Hmm. Well, yeah, I would be a film score orchestra player forever.
Good. What profession would you not like to do?
I cannot do anything uh, for a career or for a profession that doesn't help other people. I couldn't do anything that would not result in people's lives being better off.
Really?
Nothing for personal gain, I guess you would say. And that might sound really cliche, and I'm no saint, and I'm not perfect, but I just know that I am a faithful person. So I believe that I'm here on assignment, and I have a mission, and I lean into that mission, and it's what keeps me going every day.
That's lovely. Yeah. So, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God or St. Peter say to you as you arrive at the pearly gates?
um, let's see. My first reaction is, please just say I'm in. Because I've gotten a lot of real mixed messages down on the ground. So tell it to me straight, because I don't know. I kind of was down on earth, not knowing what, how this would go. But yeah, first thing I would want to hear is that I'm in, and then, just I think, and this may be cliche too, but just good job. You know, you did what